Good evening. Welcome to Look East. First tonight, are thousands of migrants in this region being left without a voice because of government cutbacks? A report out this week says that funding which provides migrants with access to English courses has been cut by 40% over the past few years, from £212 million back in 2008 to £128 million last year. Now, the research shows that there are long waiting lists for these so-called ESOL lessons, leaving people struggling to find work and integrate into communities. But should the government be footing the bill? Louise Hubble reports.
Paul Kuznecovs came over from Latvia more than 10 years ago. He says learning English was the first thing he did and the core of building a new life here. He has since set up his own recruitment firm in Northampton and strongly believes language training is crucial.
English is paramount, and obviously any kind of reduction in funding for language courses will have a negative impact on people's lives. When you speak English in this country, you've got better opportunities, and it sort of helps companies to perform better. So the better educated your workforce is, the more successful your business is.
In an office downstairs is a company tasked with teaching unemployed people English. They get paid when people find jobs. They used to run ESOL courses, but say that money has now been cut.
And we don't have enough funding. It's mismatched. There's not enough funding to actually get these people through their English qualifications or to improve their English speaking. They go into the job centre and get a job, they've got to use Universal Job Match. If they can't speak English, they can't use the computers.
ESOL is free to those on out-of-work benefits. The rest now pay up to £1,000 a year. There has been a national protest about the changes, with some saying they have lost their voice as they struggle to pay the fees. In a statement, the government says, "We have toughened up English language requirements for residency and citizenship, but we do not subsidise learning for people seeking to meet these." It adds it's right that employers and individuals in work contribute towards the cost of their English language courses. But not everyone agrees. Louise Hubble, BBC Look East, Northampton.
Well, this new report looks at how a lack of English lessons affects migrants themselves and society as a whole, as well as making recommendations for how to address the problem. Mike Cartwright is here with us this evening. Mike, what are the key points here?
Well, these are courses for migrants who've been here long term. And what this research recognises, of course, that many of these migrants have important skills, important knowledge. And if you help them to learn English, well, then you can untap that potential. But they also recognise these are austere times. There's pressure on funding. So should the government solely be footing the bill for these courses? So could the employers, could the learners, if possible, contribute too? Well, a short time ago, we spoke to the people who funded this research, and this is what they told us.
If you have residents in this society, either because you've invited them to come or because they've come here as refugees or asylum seekers, we have an obligation to support them. So in the same way as you have to support other vulnerable people in society. So I think you can, if you have the eligibility criteria sorted out, you can make sure that the funding goes to the deserving.
Well, also there are questions whether this teaching needs to be solely classroom-based. We live in a digital world, we can learn online, that could save cash. But the issues weren't solely around funding. They were also asking whether, or how easy it is for migrants to learn English here. Could these courses be better planned? Could they be more flexible so people could fit them in around their jobs and families? And they also suggest something like a language ladder, so employers and learners know the standards of English that people need to reach, you know, level 1, level 2, and so on. So it gives everybody a rough idea of what jobs people can do and what they can't.
Mike, thanks very much indeed. Armed police are still guarding a house in Binside with an air rifle. Officers were called to Vickers